Let's go. Welcome to the Real Man Talk Show. Welcome to the Real Man Talk Show. I'm Leo, this Ray Hightower, and I'm here with my co-host, Sean Davis.
Afternoon, people. Or should I say evening?
It's evening, brother. It's evening.
Yeah, man.
March 31st, and 3 months of this year is already gone.
Don't even seem like it. Just literally was just January 1st a few weeks ago to me.
Yes. January 1st, and now March 31st.
Yep. It is. Hey, it's flowing and moving faster than, I don't know, it seems like every year gets a little faster for me.
I'm in agreement with you on that, man, because before we look up, it's going to be summer. We just enter spring. It's going to be summer before we know it. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's a bad thing about it coming up on summer real quick, because I ain't even going to lie to you. I didn't put on that, what they call that COVID-19 10, 12 pounds. So I got to get back in that, get back on that track in the evenings, man.
I've been getting back on it, man. I ain't been as diligent as I usually am, but I ended up getting 2 workouts in yesterday, which if I would have did the first workout like I should have, I wouldn't need it to, but I ended up doing 2. And the weather has been really a challenging thing for me, man, here. The weather is either raining or it's either cold or either hot. And it's just been up and down, and I've been trying to avoid the gym, but I had to go to the gym because the weather was too sporadic for me, man.
Well, I'm trying not to go to the gym myself, but it's getting to the point where, just a little walk ain't really cutting it like it used to. Now, once it gets up to where it's like 90 degrees in the evening, it'll work out better then. But it's 52 degrees outside right now here in Tulsa.
Ooh. And you know what? We're supposed to be getting down to the 50s as well today. To all those that's watching, if you would please, if you would just share the link, if you could. If you got a group that you think will benefit people, share it to them, because we're going to be talking about some interesting everyday topics that's not always discussed, and we're going to talk about it. Hopefully it can help some others. But tonight we're going to be talking about, in regards to divorce and breakups, how to transition, some of the feelings that you get going through the process, not for sure if you're making the right decision, making the wrong decision, almost like survivor's remorse, but I would call it, I guess, relationship remorse. So me and Brother Sean, that's what we're going to be talking about. Then after the commercial break, we're going to provide some of the solutions that have worked for others as well as ourselves, and just go from there. But Before we go on there, Sean, let me ask you, man. Um, I know that you told me your day been going pretty well, but what's been the spec, the high point of your week?
Wow, that's a good question. High point of my week so far is wow, that's a good question, brother. Hey, I don't really know right now. High point of my week, I'd say, was setting up two more events for my cigar business, and my wife getting two more of her certifications out of the way. So, and in case anybody's wondering, at the background, this is her. This is her studio I'm in. So if you see all the pink and stuff like, this is her esthetician studio where she does, the lashes and eyebrow tinting and facials and all that kind of stuff, and does makeup for people. So I'm just in here using that tonight. But what's been your high point, man?
I would say my high point is um, well, my girl ended up working something with the airlines last week in regards to our trip going to Africa. So we end up getting some good news. Hopefully it goes through. But some of the issues we was having with traveling, which will cause us to either travel 30 hours coming back or spending 3 days in Canada. And that was going to be on our own, yeah, on our own dime, by no choice. So we was able to get some clarification, and everything's supposed to be smooth. That we're just going to our destination and coming back home. Only thing about it, coming back home, we still got a couple of trips we got to make before we can get back here. But that beach staying in Canada for 3 days, where the average hotel that they're making you stay in is $500 a day.
A day?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the government got their set of hotels in Canada set aside that if you're coming through there and you have to be quarantined, you have to stay at these hotels. And they tracking your progress as soon as you leave to the airport, go into the hotel, and you're liable to stay up there up to 3 days, which means you cannot leave the room whatsoever. And that was going to be a big issue for me.
Yeah, now that's some money making adventures for somebody. Somebody says, "Yeah, you can use my hotel," and double their rates for that. Man, come on, man. That's the I don't even want to say the American way. That's just the money making way right now.
Yeah, everybody's making money off this COVID.
We need to.
Yeah, we got to strategize and come up with a plan.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We figure something out.
So, brother, I was having a conversation with one of our mutual friends, and you and I, we have conversations like this, and this is part of the Real Man Talk, where we talk about problems and solutions. And a friend of mine was telling me, he's going through divorce, and it's been going on for a while, but he's actually at the stage where he's pushing through with it. But he was saying how he just felt so bad. He said he felt like he was a letdown or a failure in his marriage. Um, and despite that the marriage is not going anywhere, just he just felt like everything was just a failure on his part. And he was trying to figure out, how do he emotionally balance himself with that. And so we had a talk, and we kind of talked about that, came over with a plan. But this is nothing new, man. And I say that because when I was going through that, it was the same way. I was second guessing myself and trying to figure out is there anything I can do better. And was just beating myself up and realizing it was just one of the things where, sometimes people just grow apart. Um, and sometimes there's other things, other circumstances that it just lets you know that it's not a good choice, it's not a good circumstances, no matter what you do. And I remember my football coach used to tell us, it was a running joke that he said, you couldn't walk enough old women across the street. Which means no matter what you do, nothing would ever be right.
I think the main thing we have to look at as men, we always feel the ultimate victory or failure in any scenario that involves us is solely based on us. So as a fixer, we have the tendency to want to fix everything and be the provider. If the marriage didn't work, what did we do wrong? Although it takes two people in a marriage to make it right or wrong, ultimately we look back at ourselves, because when it all boils down to it, we feel like we didn't do enough or we should have done more, even if we were going above and beyond. And a lot of times, which you and I have talked about, as well as with other brothers, a lot of times we have given 110% to the marriage, and it just wasn't meant, like you said. So we have to realize that we can't win everything, and we can't come out on top on every situation. And when it's time, you have to cut it loose and move on. And just speaking from experience from just myself, my marriage was bad, hella bad. But even though I knew how bad it was and how desperately I was to get out of it, when the fact that the divorce process really began, I still felt guilty and felt bad because I felt like I had failed and I didn't do something right. Although I did everything I could, I still had those feelings. And I just had to come to terms with it that no matter what I did, there was no pleasing that individual and nothing would ever be right. So I had to let it go and start saying, okay, now it's time to start working on me to fix myself up to where I can actually be a presentable human being for someone else. That's my process. Now, what everybody else does, you have to take that a day at a time.
And to those that's listening, please view in. We would love to hear your opinion. Um, and you said some of in your dialogue with your share. Thank you for contributing and sharing your story with us, man. But you said it was bad, and that's very subjective. And I say that because every scenario from person to person can be different. But when you know that it's bad and you know that it's not going to work, when do you make the decision that you say either we gonna make it work or we're not gonna make it work?
Well, again, just speaking from my own personal experience, I knew it was bad. There was no relationship. So I never made the decision. I had made the decision that no matter what, I was going to stay in this marriage until all my kids were grown and gone. And it wound up causing more harm than good for my kids. And I've told you a few times, the best thing in my life that this woman ever did for me was decide to walk out. Because since that day, my life has been on an upward trajectory that could never be comprehended at the time that I was when I was with her. So yeah, it's been nothing but a blessing that she walked out. And if I had not had that opportunity for her to walk out like she did, I probably would be a raging alcoholic, miserable as hell, and probably nobody would like me. So sometimes it's not you that makes the decision, it's made for you, but it's the best thing that can happen for you.
You know what, man? You bring up a great point. My story is similar to yours. Uh, Despite the flaws, despite the issues, I was willing to stay in there regardless. Only because once again I grew up without a male
Hmm.
role model, and my mother didn't get married until, matter of fact, after I left the house. So mine ended up leaving me. And I remember her telling me this: "Me leaving you is gonna be the best thing that I can do for you." At the time, I didn't see that.
Me either. Me either.
I didn't see that. Like, what the fuck you talking about? Leaving me? This is what that wasn't what I wanted. But the relationship wasn't, it wasn't going over, man. But I can look back and say that was the best decision that ever happened. And people hear me say that and they look at me like I'm being facetious, but I say that me getting divorced was like the best thing because we was two young people that got married at a young age.
Hmm.
Um, Try to play house, and before you know it, we got kids, and before you know it, you really don't know each other and don't like each other. And that's one of the things where we just wasn't progressing as a couple, or as a team, I would say. And as you stated, if it wasn't for her leaving me, I'd still be in that same situation. I think sometimes as men, and it goes both ways, men and women. When it's there, you know it's not working. You got to figure out something, either make it work or you got to move on. But when you stay in it, it becomes even worse. As you stated, you could have had a heart attack, man.
Yeah, I could have been so miserable. I was miserable then, but
Let me ask you this: How did you know you was miserable? Because most people
uh,
didn't know that until it's like too late.
okay. So our thing here on this show And anybody that watches this show know I don't hold nothing back. I'm transparent with my stuff.
Yeah.
So let's just get real and talk some real shit here, okay? When I got to the point where I was killing a bottle of liquor damn near every night,
Oh wow.
or I was running through a 30 pack of beer in 3 days, didn't want to come home from work, didn't enjoy my life, period. I had resigned myself to just basically the mindset that this is all I have, this is all I'm going to be, this is all life has to offer to me. I guess this is my lot in life, and became comfortable with the misery. When I said, and it's so funny, me and you talk about this all the time. When I drove 14 hours to Georgia to come hang out with you, I was already at a breaking point, and that just kind of tilted me over. Like, okay, it's more to life than this. But yeah, when you work, you remember my hours. Going to work at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah, yeah.
getting off at 1, going back to work at 6 in the evening, and working till 2 o'clock in the morning, coming home, sleeping an hour, just because I didn't want to be at home. Yeah, you get to a point where you understand it's no longer needed. For this life is no longer what you want, and everybody comes to a point. It's just a matter of you act on it and make a difference in your life. Because I can tell you now, the bad treatment I had, and the downtrodden mindset I had then, it's funny because what was not good enough for somebody else picked up, shined up, moved into a new mindset, and changed the attitude, and turned it into I went from a 5 cent Pepsi can to a gold cup. And it was only because first I started loving myself and changing who I was internally. And that attracted the type of woman that changed me internally and mentally and physically and emotionally, and turned me into a better man. And now she's got the prize that somebody deserves to have. And again, you got to start with yourself first.
Hmm. I like that. You said you got to start, and you're right. You got to start with yourself. You got to start yourself.
When I got fed up with my life, that's when I made a change.
And you said some other things that were telltale signs that a lot of us ignore, and we see it but we ignore. But you said something that is common. Most people do go home with probably a pint of liquor. Most
Mm-hmm.
Some do go to that store and they leave them with a case. And I never forget, man. True story. A friend of mine in Georgia. I remember he had just came back from a deployment, and seen him in the corner store, and spoke to him and told him come next week. I'm gonna talk to him. And I remember he was leaving with a 24 case going on. Well, that following Monday, because it was a Friday when I seen him. That following Monday morning, he ended up committing suicide, and it was behind the relationship. Now I knew a little bit about what was going on, but I didn't know him like that approach and you talk about it. But he was dealing with some of the things that we talked about. It was a toxic relationship that he knew wasn't going nowhere, but they had kids, they was married, and so much other stuff that he just stayed in, but stayed in to the point that he ended up just taking his life.
It's a hard thing. And as far as the women go, women, they have, and forgive me if it sounds harsh, women have it a little easier from the aspect that they can call family and, hey, this gentleman ain't acting right. Can I come stay with you? Women have that access. Women have access to where they have the shelters. They have financial help that they can get, that a lot of that is just not even available for men.
That's true.
So I don't want to downplay the significance when a woman is fed up and ready to go. And I'm not talking about if she just fed up because some humbug, but if this man is really disrespecting you, mistreating the children, not providing, there's avenues for you. And this show was started because men don't have them same avenues. We don't have anybody, that we can go to and say, hey, I want to leave my wife. Can we get me a room for the night? That's not an available option for men. So we started this program as part of that. One of the reasons we started was to give men outlet so they could change the perspective and possibly change the relationship and improve it by changing the different ways that they approach their woman and try to settle things differently. Women, I'm not downplaying it because y'all have it just as hard in these relationships. Y'all stick in these relationships for a lot different reasons than men can think of. So not downplaying that, but I'm just saying y'all have avenues that we don't. And if you are in a relationship like that right now, I do encourage you, don't stay. From personal experience, don't stay in a relationship that's bad because of the kids. Those kids can see their father on visitation weekends or every other weekend, because the more mistreatment you are showing your child, that's the way that child is going to either learn to treat a woman, or that little girl is going to learn to be treated by a man she's with. So let's all get our stuff together. Either stay together and make it right, or get out of it and find somebody that's going to treat you the way you're supposed to be treated.
Man, good point. Very good points. And kids do, they emulate what they see their mother and fathers do. And one thing I learned, man, when I went through my breakup and having kids, know when you're not happy. So you can say you're staying together for the sake of the family, but the tension is there. They know you're not happy. They know the mother's not happy, and sometimes it call for actually sometimes a worse upbringing for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to the way that is it really worth staying in it and still bringing you know uh, sadness to kids while they're watching this unfold. And it's crazy because people do that as soon as the kids leave. It's like the parents divorce.
Yeah, that
So
last child,
everybody's seen it coming, but
that was my plan. I was like, I'm gonna wait till that last child is grown. When he graduates high school, I'm about, I'm done. But hey, like I said, my situation changed for me, and it's been a total blessing. You know, some of the things that we deal with as individuals, if we don't have that partnership with your spouse that allows you to be weak in front of them and with them, and show your, and I don't even say weak, but show your vulnerability. If you don't have that ability to be vulnerable with your partner, you don't need to be with them. You do not need to be with them. If they can't be your strength when you are weak, you don't need them.
according to Date for Love, they say stated that 45% of the first marriages in the U.S. ends in divorce. So that's
45%.
5%. So that's almost half the people that got married this year will be divorced.
Good Lord, I didn't even know the wow.
45%.
So you understand the significance of that number. You're saying nearly half the marriages in America end in divorce.
Are separation. Divorce or separation.
It wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also another stat from Date for Us, uh, the country with the highest divorce rate is Russia. The
I was
country
surprised. I
with
was
the
surprised when you told me that.
yes, and
Yeah.
the country with the lowest rate. Look, check this out. The country with the lowest divorce rate is Guatemala. Two
Who
opposite
knew?
end of the spectrum of the world.
But I want you to think about something. Look at the influx of money and how much wealth has come into Russia in the last decade. Okay. And how much money is there? And they have the highest divorce rate. And then you look at the economic GDP for Guatemala and how underprivileged a lot of those people are, or how they're living a subsistence lifestyle. And it just goes back that money don't mean shit. It's what you build. You understand that? That I look at Russia. There's so many billionaires in Russia right now, and look, they got the highest divorce rate, and one of the poorest countries in the Western world has the lowest divorce rate. Huh? Wow, makes you think, brother. And yeah, the rate has gone up since COVID. You're absolutely right. The divorce rate has gone up because what COVID did, those couples that were tolerable of each other because they didn't have to be around each other as much. COVID shut all that down. All those little annoying things that you hated about your husband, but you could deal with because you wasn't with him, but 6 hours a night. Now you there 24 hours a day with him. So yes, COVID has caused things to go up on the divorce rate. But I tell you the second half of that, the pregnancy rate has increased too during COVID. So we're gonna have some COVID babies coming up.
And you said something else. You said 6 hours a night. Shit, half of them probably wasn't even staying together. Probably had two different homes, but now you're forced to be in one home.
Yep.
So,
or that individual that travels 2-3 weeks out of the month, for business, and now you home stuck. Man, yes. Kimberly, I totally agree. You do have to take the time to get to know the person that you're marrying. But I will say this. You can get to know that person, but that person, their ideology can change as you grow in age and belief system change from what it was to what it will become. And that can cause a separation. And I'm saying that strictly from, again, my own personal experience. That was a big factor in my first marriage. I knew the person, but again, your way of thinking, become uber religious, it causes a person to change, and you grow distant because you're not growing together. You're growing up, but you're growing apart, and that happens.
Man, that plays a major factor. And I thank you, Kim, for that comment. Because when I first got married, I thought I knew the person. I really didn't know the person. I was in, and I'm gonna say in lust. Did I care for the person? Yes. Did I love him? Yes. But I really didn't know the person. I didn't really at 19. I really didn't know my fucking self.
Can you say that again, brother?
At 19, I really knew myself.
Right.
I'm 44, still learning myself. So that you do really got to know the person. That plays a major factor. And when you read, matter of fact, my book should be out. Oh my God, it should have been out, but I ran into some hiccups. But in the book, I talk about that. When I first met my first wife, I thought I knew her. And then we moved in together. It was all type of things I didn't know about. Like, okay, you don't know how to cook. You don't know how to clean. It's all this shit we was talking about over the phone. So I thought I knew, but I didn't know.
And I will tell you too, when you're young and have an ideal of what a relationship and a lifestyle is supposed to be, you overlook a lot of shit. You see the warning signs. You overlook a lot of it just because you want to keep the ideal there or the perception there of that individual. I ignored some warning signs. Thinking back on it, back in the day, I was like, "Ooh, yeah, that wasn't a red flag. That was a red ship waving in the sky," and I still ignored it.
Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning to the Real Man Talk Show. We're gonna go to about a 3-minute commercial, and the next segment of the show, we're gonna be talking about how to move on. We was talking about some of the issues that you can identify when you're in a bad relationship, some of the feelings that you may have if you should stay in, if not stay in, and we talked about that. But we're gonna talk about after the commercial break some of the things that you can do to just move on emotionally, physically, and financially. So stay tuned.
Welcome to Houston's Notary, the fastest and most efficient mobile notary service. Houston's Notary pride itself on following up with their customers and making them feel at ease. Houston's Notary has the finest notaries that provides many services such as loan closings, fingerprints, cash outs, affidavits, wills, trust, power of attorneys, employment verification, documents for immigration, and legal documents. Wow! So many services that all you have to do is call. Toll free 1-844-292-5562 or 713-956-6485 or visit houstonsnotary.com. Let us be your notary.
Hello, my name is Bo Bowen. I'm here to welcome you to our family, the Bowen Law Firm. Here at the Bowen Law Firm, we offer the wide gamut of legal services. We offer family law, meaning divorces with and without children, modifications, enforcements, adoptions, and terminations.
Hello, my name is Daniel Gbede. I'm one of the attorneys here at the Bowen Law Firm. I focus on the family law aspect of the legal department. We do everything from divorce with children, divorce without children, property division, custody, modification, enforcement, protective order, CPS cases, habeas. If you have any questions regarding any area in the family law, feel free to call us at 713-574-7777. Thank you.
Here at the Bowen Law Firm, we do what it takes to ensure our clients are prepared and ready for what's coming ahead, even if we have to get them in one of these. Bowen Strong.
Many people are tired of typical pharmaceutical drugs that have major side effects and causes addictions. The federal government has legalized CBD in all 50 states. CBD binds to the CB pain receptors in your body. The Houston Health and Wellness Company offers many products that can help you immensely. The consumer favorite gummies are delicious edibles that you can take and attain immediate relief. The tincture is a CBD product in liquid form that you place under your tongue that also comes in a variety of flavors. For those aching joints and muscles, Houston CBD has a full-spectrum salve with various all-natural ingredients that will help provide relief. They even have CBD for dogs. Yes, CBD for dogs. Botana oil from Dr. Sebi's Usha Village. It's an all-natural oil from the Botana plant that has been known to help hair grow at a rapid rate. It can be used as a moisturizer for your skin. Best of all, it's all natural. They also have elderberry syrup for your immune system. Go to www.houstonscbd.com. That's Houston with an S, CBD.com.
Hey, it's Leo. This is High Tower with my co-host, John Davis. Welcome back to Get That Talk. In the second segment of the show, we're going to be talking about how to move on after a breakup in a relationship. Brother Sean, I'll let you kick it off in regards to what helped you move on, to move on when you was at the stage.
First and foremost, my kids, and just wanting to be there for my kids and be a good dad for my kids, and then learning the idea of loving myself, appreciating myself, and the biggest thing, the enjoyment of just learning to be alone. That was the biggest thing right there. Just the idea that I don't need to have anybody. I can be just as content and happy with myself alone. And boy, many a night I sat up watching a movie by myself and enjoyed every minute of it. um, Depending on your mindset, how quickly you want to get back out there and date. Now, it wasn't a big rush for me, but I did. I started dating again. And for me, just rebuilding myself, man. That was the biggest part for me. That's what helped me move on. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you, it didn't hurt either that I was already well over it, but but hey, that was just an incentive, so to speak.
That's what's up. I would tell you, and when I got to that point, man, where I knew I had to just make a decision to move on, I never forget. I was seeing the therapist, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Man, hey, I want to make my marriage work and keep my wife." He's like, "No, what do you want to do?" I said, "Forget all that. Let's focus on what you want to do." I said, "Well, I always wanted to go back to school and get my degree." So from there on, I focused on going back to school. Got in school, started going to school, started meeting people, started seeing things look different. At that time, I realized that we was even growing further and further apart in regards to what I was looking for, as far as long term wise. So from there, I started then working on my credit. That was a whole nother issue. Most people don't realize, man, when
Mhm.
they go both sides. But I would say usually the men are more impacted more financially. So financially, man, I was hurting because I was still trying to take care of family, of three kids, managing two households, and it's very hard to manage two households when you're barely making money.
Mhm.
So that was a challenge in itself. So I was pretty much, man, living uh, check to check. Uh, Sometimes going to the horse race track just to try to make money, which is what's called gambling. To me, it was investing because that was the only way I can make money legally. Didn't have time for a second job because the first job took all my time. And that was the main thing. And another thing I did, man, when I started saving my money, because I made in my mind that I was going to get a divorce. I wasn't going to let it drag out. So it took me about 3 years, I think, to get it, no, 4 years to get a divorce. And once I saved that money, once again, I had to save this money because I
Mhm.
possibly go be a fight on my hand, but I wanted to move on with my life. And that's another thing you got to realize. You can't let nobody try to keep you in cage or in jail through a relationship that you do not want to be in. There's ways out, okay? So that's one thing. I wouldn't go stay engaged into a relationship just because I didn't have the money. So I saved that money to get a lawyer, hoping that it didn't need a lawyer, but I had to get a lawyer. And then from there, man, I just started to move on. And that's when the divorce happened. And I tell people, man, September 15th, 2005 was one of the best days of my life.
Mm.
Dropped out I-35 bumping 112. I would never forget the scene. I would never forget the time, man, because it's not so much I was celebrating a divorce, but I was celebrating a new chapter in my life. That's what it was.
Yes, the albatross around your neck had been released, and you was able to fly again. That's the only way I can say it, brother. When I know the date and time when that judge signed off on that paper, it said, "Son, take this down to the court clerk and have her stamp it and bring it back up to me." Man, I was skipping like Peter Pan down them steps trying to get. Oh, went out and had me a little drink. That was so funny, man. I went out that night by myself, had me a steak dinner and a glass of wine by myself, brother, and enjoyed. Boy, they thought I was eating slow on purpose, but I was enjoying that little freedom steak, brother. Freedom steak.
Hey, bro, I was in Oklahoma City. I had left the court, I want to say about 3:15, and I was trying to get on the road because I had just came from Korea, and I had an assignment in Fort Hood, Texas. I had my car loaded up, and I was able to get a court date. I was just lead up to the process, as y'all don't know, and most of y'all do know that been through that. It's very taxing emotionally and financially.
Mm-hmm.
So this started like years ago, and I had to like save up money just to fly home from Korea to petition the court, to hopefully that she didn't move, to fly back home to ask for a court date. There was just so much to it. So as I stated, when I got that divorce, man, I was getting in my car, heading to Killeen, Texas, man, and it was like a breath of fresh air. But prior to that, there was some issues with that because at first she did not want to sign the papers. I'm
We
like,
ain't even
been
yes.
separated for about 3, 4 years, and that is going nowhere. What's the issue? What's the issue? And it came down to it about child support. And I didn't have no problem with child support because once again, I don't make the goddamn guidelines. So whatever guideline Oklahoma was going by, I wouldn't buy them. And what I did, I actually gave more than I was allotted to just so I can get a divorce. So and she didn't want to sign the papers. I had to go take it to my lawyer. And my lawyer, like, either, you can sign the papers. If not, y'all can just fight in court and he can just pay what he's allotted versus what he's giving you. And less than 2 minutes, she didn't have no problem signing the papers. But it hurt me even more. Like, this is about fucking money. And I was so dumbfounded and clueless. Like, really? This is about money? It was about fucking money.
Yeah. Because my ex had the audacity to tell me when I started dating my wife, she threatened. She's like, you gonna leave her alone or I'm gonna put you on child support. I'm like, well, shit, let me go get a second job. I'll pay it that way. I'm not giving this up. And then when we got serious and moved in together, she had the audacity to call me and tell me, you either come back to me and your kids, or I'm going to put you on child support. And if you don't, I'm going to make your life a living hell. I'm going to harass you till I run her off, basically. I said, well, you can try it, but you don't know her. She's cute and she's very sophisticated, but she will put them hands on your ass.
Wow, you was pretty much tortured like that.
Brother, look, I've been with my girl 7 years. Okay. The first 3 years that I was with her, I changed my phone number 10 times.
Wow.
Yes. And then through childhood.
Hold up. You changed your number 10 times. Why?
Because of my ex.
I mean, 10 times.
I see like this. In one 24-hour period, a day before Christmas, she texted me over 80 something texts. And no, I'm sorry, she called me over 80 times and she sent me over 100 texts in one 24-hour period.
And you know what's crazy? If you and I would have done that, we would have been locked up for stalking and other type of charges.
And it's funny because when I told the judge that during the divorce, he was like, basically like whatever. And then during the second hearing for the child support stuff, she kept demanding, because I changed my number and she didn't have it. So she kept demanding to have a phone number to be in contact with me when the kids is over there. So he said, sir, do you have a number? So I gave her my fiance at the time's phone number. And I said, you can just have her call there. She ain't called that phone one time.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And that's another show we're going to end up doing. It's a major double standard. And Brother Sean said something early in the conversation. When it comes to men and women, when it's going through this process, women, once again, and it's not no tag on you all, but you all have benefits and other things that we don't have access to, like shelters. We don't got access to no shelters. Food stamps, they're not giving us no. There's a lot of things you all have access that we just don't have access to, which makes the playing field even worse. It's not balanced. It's a double standard thing. And when it's time to move on and rebound, is once again financially, it's hard on both parties, but it's mainly harder for that man because nobody give a damn that you got to do this and take care of yourself.
Just like when she threatened me with child support and finally put me on child support, I willingly went down there and was like, I'm fine. Put me on child support. I have no problem paying it. I'm willing to pay it. But when the judge gave me my amount, and I'm like, Judge, you do understand I have a whole nother family that I still have to provide for. That judge looked me dead in my face and said, I don't care about your family. You have to pay for these kids. That's all I care about is these kids here. And I'm like, damn, well, what am I supposed to do if you taking in all my money? And again, I don't care about what you do. By law, this is what I have to do. And he did. And it took me a while, but I got it worked out. But again, the men are hit in a position where we're stuck. We can barely survive as is, but then you take child support and that's just another dagger that we have to deal with.
But and a lot of people don't see it's more than just child support, especially when someone leave you and they leave you stuck with the bills. You're obligated to still pay those goddamn bills on top of still providing. So that's a whole nother conversation. Depends on your job and type of clearance you have. Some people can't afford not to pay them bills because they will lose their job, which will compromise their security clearance. When I was coming back from Korea, man, I was getting threatened, so I went to the child support office there to try to put myself on child support. And they gave me a hard time with me just trying to open up a case on myself to pay child support.
Ain't that a trip? You willingly go down there to do the right thing, and they look at you sideways.
Bro, that woman like, what you want us to do? I'm like, well, I want to open up a case so nothing happens to me in the future because I'm being threatened and I'm sending money, but I'd rather pay to a secure source that can mediate. Just like, well, I don't think there's nothing we can do. You need to do this and do. It was just a runaround, man. It's like it wasn't no justice, man. I was stuck.
But then be the brother that gets served with child support papers and miss a couple of payments. They'll
Oh,
have your ass hemmed up.
oh yes, 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 yes. Let's address. We got a couple of comments. Miss Walton. I feel a relationship is like a job. You both have to put in the work and willing to give and take lovingly. There will be issues, but how you handle it make the difference. Ms. Walton, I agree with you on it. And it has to be both parties that want it to work. If both parties don't want to work, it's not going to work. And that's one thing you have to be on the same accord to make it work. And you're right, it's all about how you handle it. And if two people really want to be together and want to make it work, you go make it work and you go handle those differences. But if it's only one person and the one
It's a
person
losing battle.
losing battle,
Yeah, because
I,
I can tell you like this: the woman I'm with now, uh, I don't want to say I compromise, but I love her to the point that I'm willing to look at things different and do things different in order to be compatible with her. You know, we don't want to say compromise because when you compromise, you're giving up something,
right.
you know, and we're not doing the tit for a tat. So you're right, Miss Walton. You do have to work together, but it like you said, brother, you have both have to be willing to do that.
Kim said, not just men who have that issue. My ex-husband refused to sign for 4 years.
Wow.
He told me he wasn't going to give me a divorce. I'm stuck with him.
Damn. Okay. Well,
And I mean, I didn't see issues like this, and I almost was part of this issue. And I say that because when I was once again in Korea, at that time, my ex-wife was in Texas, but the residency was Colorado. That's why I went back to Colorado to try to, take care of that, put myself on child support, and hopefully get a separation divorce now, because she was in Texas. They couldn't do that. So when it was time for me to file in Texas, she left Texas and went to Oklahoma. So it became more of one of the things that you're chasing somebody, but until they establish residency, there's nothing you really can do. And they really want to just torture you. They can constantly do that. And before you know it, you married 10, 15 years to somebody that you really can't serve, especially if they go into hiding.
mm-hmm. See, in my case was similar where my ex refused. So here's the thing. As we were talking earlier, Oklahoma is #2 in the United States for divorce rate. So they make you jump through hoops to get divorced here. One of the requirements is taking these dealing with divorce for children or whatever it is, but you sit and watch an hour video that was made in the 80s, and then you have to go to another class where two people talk for 4 hours about their divorce experience. She refused to take those classes. So if that partner in the divorce does not do the requirements, the divorce can't be granted. But the judge that I had saw that she had prolonged this almost 4 years, and he went on and granted the divorce despite the fact that she hadn't completed them classes. And he notated that in the final decree of what she had and had not done. So yeah, I can agree. You can stretch that out and make it miserable for a person if they really want to be that way. And for I just don't understand. If you don't want me, why do you still give a rat's ass? Sign them papers and move the fuck on. Because it's obvious I don't like you, and I'm not gonna ever be with you again. So sign them papers and be free. Get your freedom. Get away from me if that's what you want. Because that was a that was a journey for me.
Brother, same here, man. And when I was going through that, I'm like, man, this shit is just like the mob. It's easy to get in, but it's hard to get out.
Oh, you know what? We gang banging, brother. You just blood in, blood out. You know. Yes, I can agree with you, man. I can agree with you.
Uh, to those that's looking need help with their credit, you can always go to hightowerschool.com and sign up. And that was one of the things I had to do. I had to get my credit straight, man. Oh my God. Everything is a process, man, to even get myself in safe shape physically, emotionally. Matter of fact, it took me probably about 5 years mentally and emotionally to get over my divorce. And some may ask, what took so long? When you got kids, it makes it even more complicated because you still got that tie and you probably still got emotional tie. But I didn't realize how much control I let that person have over me. Even though we was divorced, she still had control, whether it was through my kids or whether through conversations. But I had to work on me. And I tell people all the time, man, you got to focus on you. It was almost as Brother Sean said earlier, man, how you went to the movies by yourself. I tell the men, man, you got to learn to date yourself. Get to know you all over. Because once I got out my marriage, man, I was like, who in the fuck am I? What do I like?
Right.
What do I like to do? I'm so used to taking care of my family, I kind of really forgot about my own self identity. So it took me a minute just to, work on that as well as, I was dating and probably shouldn't have been dating because emotionally I wasn't really ready. So all of it's a process, man. It's a process from emotions to physical to your finances. Because it took me about 3 or 4 years just to get financially out of debt with some things. So I was stuck
Yep.
with a lot of debt, man.
A lot of debt. Now I'm gonna be transparent once again. Now I'm just gonna be 100 with you. When I got out and started getting comfortable with myself, I just told myself, you might as well call me Fido, put a flea collar on me, and put Fido across my front door because I'm finna be a hoe. I'm gonna be a dog. I'm finna smash any and everything that's walking. Brother, don't go that route. Don't do that because you are literally filling a void with another empty process. And you wind up causing more damage. You leech on to people, or should I say latch on to people, or you let people become close to you that have no business even being in your life. So don't do that. I was so glad when I snapped out of it and set myself free from that prospect because the high tower, I'm gonna say a name. Do you remember Louise? We gonna just leave that alone from there.
I was Sergeant Louise from Donnell Jones song. Okay.
But when I stopped saying I'm gonna be this way to make up for lost time or whatever it was, and really went back to focusing on me, it allowed me to work myself into a position emotionally and mentally where I was able to be a good enough man to meet my girl and catch her attention and start dating her. And it made me open enough to want to change and upgrade who I am to make her happy. So I just say, don't, men or women, don't go out there with your whole gear on. Stay strong and just stay by yourself for a little bit.
And also, I would tell you, man, in regards to getting to know yourself, start to know what you like. When I started get to know myself back then, I realized there were certain things that I just could accept. So when I started looking at date and started to look at other women, there were just certain things. I had a whole new profound standard, and I seen some red flags. It was a hell of an indicator for me. So you got to look at all that. Look at what you like. Look at what you want. Look what you're willing to accept. Look what you're willing to compromise with. And first is just jumping in. During that process, man, I heard a lot of people during the process because, as Sean stated, I was just in relationships and wasn't really in it for the right reasons. Um, Mainly, it's like you said, to fill a void, and
Yep.
along that process, man, you end up hurting people. And at that time, mentally and emotionally, man, I was in a different space considering I was raising my kids, so I wasn't really 100% invested into anyone, man. Emotionally wise, did I care for some people? Yes, but a lot of people end up getting hurt only because I was hurt. And that goes back to, man, you got to really work on yourself and know what you want before you get into another relationship. I know what I do want, and I know what I'm not willing to accept. So that makes it much easier now. So the person I'm with now, it's much different. It's more of an understanding, and it's like I said, it's more of teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when you know someone that got your back, but at the same time, it goes back to you as the person. You got to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, can't nobody else know what you want.
Brother. And when you get to that point where you know what you want, and then you connect with somebody that is on that same wavelength as you, the joy of being at home and coming home is just, you can't even fathom how good that feeling is. Me and you had this conversation what 2-3 days ago where we literally were talking about we ain't got to go nowhere. We can stay right there at home and be content and don't need to go nowhere. So when you find yourself and you attract what you need in a mate to you, your home life changes. Your perspective on home life changes. And when you get to that point where you have that person in your life that you really don't care about leaving the house.
Let me tell you something, man. The older I get, and you got to realize, man, I spent a lot of time in the military, so it's a lot of things that I miss out on. But I tell Kim all the time, man, it's hard for me to get bored because there's so many things I can do around the house. And that goes back to knowing yourself. And I can play games, and I don't have time to play games because I got so many other things going on. I can always do things to innovate my business. I can always work out. I can do things around the house. I can read a book. I can write a story. I can write another. Man, when you start realizing so many things that you can do to fulfill yourself, all that other stuff just become extra stuff. Do I like to go out?
Mm-hmm.
I like to go out, but man, this is like my peace right here because I'm safe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many things I can do. And once again, I like to socialize. I like to get out. But once I started dating myself and learning myself, I realized there was a lot of things that I like to do that I forgot about doing. And now I'm catching up on them things because you got to realize, marriage, man, you sacrifice yourself, especially when you got kids. You sacrifice yourself, your time, to a certain extent that you just kind of lose track of time and lose track of yourself. So even if you got kids and them kids is about to leave the house, you got to start mentally preparing yourself what you go do. Because when them kids leave the house, now you stuck and like, damn, what I'm going to do?
Right. And when you find that relationship that fulfills you, one of the simplest pleasures I have is just sitting. Two things. I'm gonna say two things. It's one of the simplest pleasures I have is she can be on the couch and I can be on my recliner. We might not say two words to each other for 2 or 3 hours, but we content because we within each other's eyesight and we in each other's company. And the other part of that is when you can just sit up and have good conversation with that person and be just as goofy as you want to be, and y'all right there being goofy together. Those are just the simplest things. And when you become the kind of person that loves and dates yourself and finds who you are, you'll find that person that allows you to do that and be that with. And that's a wonderful thing, man.
I agree. I agree. And with that being said, we're about to get out of here, man. To those once again that's looking for some help with your credit, you're trying to fix your credit, you're trying to get that house. Matter of fact, if you need your power of attorney, wills, and all that, go ahead and sign up, and I can get you going. Also, if you just need to talk or want some advice, go ahead and click on the link and book an appointment. Matter of fact, let me just put the link so it's easy for you to access. You can book the appointment, a consultation, we'll talk. And let me get this. Hey, Leah, what's up? Let me take this comment before we get out from my brother Greg. Often what is forgotten are the two C's, communication and compromise. The words I love you are different from the action of love. Thank you very much, Bishop Short. Those
Brother,
are
you are so right on that. So right. Because I can tell you I love you all day long. That don't mean squat. If I'm going out here talking bad about you and smacking you in the back every chance I get.
correct.
But it's the little things. When I say I'm sorry and you see me genuinely change my behavior, that signifies I have love for you and I love you. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Go on and take us out, brother.
On subject tonight, I can say again what I've always said. You first must love yourself in order to love others adequately. Once you learn to love yourself, the love that you need will then be sought and given to you by those who deem you worthy.
I like it. Thank you very much, you all, and thank you for tuning into the Real Man Talk Show. And the Real Man Talk Show will be in Irving, Texas this weekend. So if you see us, hit us up. We'd love to meet up with you. Till then, tune into next Wednesday, and y'all be safe and be great.
Be safe and be great, people. Later.